Hamas, an acronym for the Islamic Resistance Movement, is a Palestinian Islamic fundamentalist organization. Founded in 1987 during the First Intifada, Hamas originated as an offshoot of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. The group's charter explicitly calls for Israel's destruction and the establishment of an Islamic Palestinian state. Hamas has a complex structure encompassing both a political wing and a militant arm known as the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam Brigades. While Hamas has engaged in social service provision in Gaza, it is internationally designated as a terrorist organization by numerous countries, including the United States, the European Union, and Israel. Hamas gained control of the Gaza Strip in 2007 after a violent conflict with its rival Fatah. Since then, Hamas has fought several wars with Israel marked by rocket attacks from Gaza and Israeli airstrikes and ground incursions. Hamas justifies its attacks as resistance against Israeli occupation, while Israel maintains its actions are in self-defense. On October 7, 2024, Hamas launched a multi-pronged surprise attack on Israel. The assault commenced with a barrage of rockets fired from Gaza, targeting Israeli towns and cities bordering the enclave. Simultaneously, Hamas militants infiltrated Israeli territory through land, sea, and air, utilizing tunnels, paragliders, and speedboats. The militants attacked Israeli military positions and civilian communities near the Gaza Strip, resulting in widespread chaos and panic. The scale and ferocity of the attack shocked many, exceeding the intensity of previous Hamas offensives. Hamas's tactics, including the use of civilian clothing and the targeting of civilians, were widely condemned as war crimes. In a move that further escalated the conflict, Hamas militants seized numerous Israeli civilians as hostages during their incursion. The hostages, including women, children, and elderly individuals, were taken into Gaza. Hamas threatened to harm the hostages if Israel retaliated. This hostage crisis added a deeply disturbing dimension to the conflict, generating international outrage and condemnation. Israel responded to the Hamas attack with swift and forceful military action. The Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, launched Operation Iron Swords, a massive aerial bombardment campaign targeting Hamas military infrastructure and personnel in Gaza. Israel also mobilized ground troops and called up reservists in preparation for a potential ground invasion of Gaza. As the conflict intensified, international actors scrambled to mediate a ceasefire. Egypt, which has historically played a mediating role between Israel and Hamas, engaged in intensive diplomatic efforts to secure a cessation of hostilities. Egyptian officials met with representatives from Hamas and Israel seeking to broker a truce and address the hostage crisis. However, reaching a ceasefire agreement proved challenging. Hamas demanded the release of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel as a precondition for any negotiations, while Israel insisted on the unconditional return of all hostages. Moreover, the deep mistrust between the parties and the ongoing violence on the ground hampered diplomatic efforts. The fighting in Gaza rapidly precipitated a dire humanitarian crisis. The densely populated enclave, already suffering from chronic poverty and a crippled infrastructure due to years of conflict and blockade, bore the brunt of the violence. Israeli airstrikes caused widespread destruction, damaging residential buildings, hospitals, and essential infrastructure. The Palestinian Ministry of Health reported a rapidly rising death toll, including numerous civilians, among them women and children. The indiscriminate nature of the rocket attacks and the intensity of the Israeli bombardment trapped many civilians in the crossfire, with limited access to shelter, food, water, and medical care. As of late October 2024, the situation remains highly volatile and unpredictable. Ceasefire efforts have yet to yield a breakthrough, and the fighting continues unabated. The international community faces the daunting task of mediating a complex conflict with deep-rooted historical, political, and religious dimensions. The hostage crisis adds a particularly troubling layer to the conflict, further complicating efforts to find a peaceful resolution. The conflict has far-reaching implications for regional stability. The potential for wider escalation, involving regional actors such as Iran and Hezbollah, poses a significant risk. Moreover, the conflict threatens to exacerbate existing tensions in the Middle East, hindering efforts to achieve a lasting peace. The international community must work concertedly to address the humanitarian crisis, prevent further escalation, and find a sustainable solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.